Stop using church intimidation, control and manipulation. Jezebel and all them spirits fall back, not trying to hear it. Go with Jesus, walk in peace. On your pew can sit that beast that we're fighting in the world. I'm that JC Supergirl, Jesus Christ, belt of truth, arm of God, I'm slaying you. Power of the word, two-edged sword. MC Heaven rocks for her Lord. Thought they crept in unaware, didn't see the gatekeeper standing right there. Not getting down with your tactics, undoctrinal practice.
Shalawam, everybody, and Ahthah. I greet you in the name of Ahayah, Bahashem, Yashaya, Rawach. Welcome again. This is the Crystal Jones Show. It's the show that is all about life's balance. And I am your talk show host, Crystal Jones. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the wonderful things that you say, as far as encouraging the show. But let me tell you how you can check out what I'm doing. Every Saturday from 7 to 8 p.m., you can watch me on bronxnet.tv. It's also on your cable channels, 951 and 2037 at BronxNet. It's I'm on the Inspire channel. All right. Also, you can check me out on Facebook at the Crystal Jones TV Show. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can grow the channel. Thank you all who have been subscribing lately. Also, you can check me out on Instagram. And you could write to me always at the Crystal Jones Show at gmail.com. And you could check me out on HebrewConnect.tv. All right. So we're going to go over again the scripture of the day. We've been doing this teaching on our patriarchal history, okay, of the Hebrew Israelites. So the scripture, of course, again, is Genesis 28:11 through 13. It says, so he came to a certain place. He stayed there all night because the sun had set. So remember, this is when Jacob was going to meet Esau. Remember, him and Esau were they were enemies because Esau had sold his birthright to Jacob. So this was during the time where their father was about to die. This is at the time where Isaac was about to die. So they had met, they were supposed to meet up, and Jacob was a little afraid because he knew that Esau was mad at him for having taken his birthright, which Esau rightly sold to him. So he didn't really have a reason to be, but he wanted to feel like his brother had tricked him, right? So then Jacob, he dreamed a dream, and behold, a ladder was set on the earth, and its top reached to heaven. It's a staircase. And these angels are ascending and descending on this ladder. And the Lord stood above that ladder. He said, I am the Lord God of your father and the God of Isaac. He said, I'm the God of Abraham and then the God of Isaac, which are Jacob's forefathers, right? He said, the land on which you lie, I will give it to you and your descendants. So this is when the Lord is expressing to Jacob why he's going through the different struggles that he's been through with his brother all his life, because he and his brother were fighting in the womb. So their mother went to, at the time, Shem was he was operating as priest and king over the earth. And so when she went to him to find out, why are my twins struggling? Because Esau and Jacob are twins. So he told him, there are two nations of people being born that are in you, and they're going to always be struggling, but the older is going to serve the younger. So it was a prophetic thing that was going on. So the Lord is about to reveal to Jacob who we are. We're from that line of Jacob. Even if we go over to the Middle East today and they see us, a lot of time they'll say, oh, you're the daughter of Jacob, or you're the son of Jacob. They know who we are. That's why you had that President Nasser in Egypt. When he was president, he told the people that are there in Israel today, he told them, you'll never have peace here because you left here black and came back white. So he was letting them know, we know that you're converted Jews. You're not the original bloodline Jews. So there's no way you're going to have peace here, because you're kind of, you're like pretending to be somebody you're not. Because remember, they also painted over our images and all that kind of stuff, right? kind of like a lot of stuff that has happened to us today. You know, they patent our ideas and all of that. So it's always been a fight with Esau and Jacob, right? So that's what, you know, I'm going to be continuing today's lesson within the Apocrypha, you know, later on today in the show. All right. So now what we're going to do today is we're going to go to today's news. All right. And the first video that I have for you is about the school threat that's ramped up across the United States, because you have social media platforms that sadly people use for other people's demise to threaten, you know, the children in school and things like that, so children didn't want to go to school. So let's check out that video about what they're saying about all of this going on in the country. Let's take a look at that.
School authorities across the country have ramped up security measures today after alleged threats of school violence began emerging on the social media platform TikTok. Yahoo Finance tech editor Dan Howley joins us now for more. Dan, break this down for us. How did these threats begin, and how are schools responding?
Yeah, that's right, Emily. It seems like these threats kind of began rather nebulously. It doesn't seem as though many of the districts that have responded saw any direct threats to themselves. But there was one where a student was seen discussing school and then holding a gun that ended up being a BB gun. And we've seen, you know, responses from different school districts across the country, as well as some of the leading authorities in those counties basically coming out and saying, you know, we're going to be taking extra precautions, or in some places have even canceled school. I went on TikTok and I looked up school threat, which is a hashtag, and I saw some students who had posted images from their school with classrooms that were half empty because school districts had basically sent out notices to parents, and so they just ended up keeping their children home. So it's disrupting school for sure for a lot of students. Some students, though, were taking it in stride and to a degree even making jokes about it. But, you know, obviously this comes after the school shooting that we had seen in Michigan. And, you know, obviously the spat of school shootings that we've seen across the past few years. So that means that these different districts, counties and states are going to be taking extra precaution. But we did see, for instance, the governor of New Jersey send out a tweet saying that there were no real definitive threats, but that they were going to make sure that students were protected regardless.
Dan, you know, it's really amazing how many trends come out of TikTok. Some of them are fun, some of them are cool, some of them are just downright crazy, and this downright dangerous. But how credible are some of these threats?
Yeah, a lot of law enforcement that's responding to this say that the threats aren't credible at all, that it seems to be kind of a panic that was set off. And then because of the social nature of TikTok and teenagers being teenagers, people started sending out TikToks about it, then making their own responding TikToks about it. Other kids started making TikToks about that, and so on and so forth. And it continued to metastasize and just spread throughout the country. So, you know, from what I was seeing, there were TikToks of some kids saying, you know, nothing's going to happen tomorrow, just relax. This is from yesterday. Others saying that they were nervous to go to school. And then, as I said, some showing kids at school today with classrooms that were half empty saying, look at what, you know, kind of ridiculousness this has caused. But it doesn't seem like it's a credible threat at all. And different school districts have said that. And law enforcement have said that, but just out of an abundance of caution, they just wanted to warn parents and are taking different steps to ensure the safety of students. And as I said, following the school shooting in Michigan, that makes sense. But, you know, it doesn't seem like this is actually anything that's going to happen or has happened. I kind of chalk it up to something of a panic similar, you know, obviously much darker, but similar to what we saw to that Tide Pod challenge where everyone's saying, oh, my God, kids are eating Tide Pods now. But I don't think very many kids actually ate Tide Pods.
All right, Yahoo Finance tech editor Dan Howley, thank you so much for that report.
So you see, this is what's going on in this country. And it's a result of leaving your kids to social media by themselves, leaving your kids unsupervised, letting them be on the computer all day long, on their phone all day long and all night long. They're not going to sleep at night. You think they're in the bedroom sleep. They up watching this, watching that, watching the other. Now, you can't blame social media for everything, because social media should be used for positive things. Now, what parents I feel need to get back to is parenting. All right. You need to start spending time with your children. I know a lot of parents probably sometimes work 2, 3 jobs or whatever. So since your kid is on social media or whatever, if you work several jobs, schedule a TikTok with them where you send them things that are positive. Let them know you care about them, that you love them, and you know how great they are. Or encourage them to do things, to make different little movies and things like that that are positive. And the times that you get to spend with them, spend your time with your children. They're your children. You had them, okay? And that's a good thing that you had them. You're not, I'm not encouraging where people get so frustrated because of a pregnancy and throw a child away and all of that kind of stuff. I respect you that you went and had the child, so you need to spend time with that child, not just one parent, but both parents. Be responsible. Stop letting your children just be left to the winds. And those of you who aren't teaching your children positive things, you need to change your mindset too. Stop teaching hatred at home and telling them, oh, this group of people and all. They're in school with people from every walk of life. All right. So if they're going to be in that environment, they need to be positive so that we don't have these crazy things happening. Just like there was another situation in Texas where there was a prejudice situation going on where they had the white students were on a private chat saying that they didn't want the black children to come to their prom, right? And they were saying all these, negative things about black kids, that don't let them come to the prom, this, that, and the other. And to me, that comes right from the household. If you're prejudiced and negative, your kids are going to be. Grow up, all right? People of different cultures are going to be around you, and that's how it is. And parents that, if for them to even be able to say something like that on social media says that you probably have a very low percentage of black people in that community. That's another thing. I don't understand why our people continue. You're the only person that's in that community that's black. That's crazy. You have no backup, and they know that, so they're gonna come after you. Stop traumatizing your kids with that. Get them in. If you want them to go to public school, you need to get them around like-minded people, our own culture of people. You can find a school that, is decent for your children to be a part of, because if not, your kids are going to be traumatized being in these schools. But if you are going to be in a place where is a mixed culture and stuff like that, and, you need to start teaching your children positive thinking. No, everybody's not going to look like them or be like them or anything like that. But for them to get on social media platforms and start planning that, oh, it's going to be a shootout and all of this kind of stuff, it kind of says bad parenting. It really, really does. Stop letting your kids do what they want to do. All right. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to watch is disturbing. You have a teacher that dressed up like an Indian, okay? The North American Indians who were they were the first people here. Christopher Columbus was not even here when they were here. They first came like hundreds of years before he did, all right? And they are the lost tribe, one of the lost tribes of Israel. They're the tribe of Gad, all right, which consists of many other, tribes in between. So this teacher decides to dress up like an Indian and mock these Indians, which she's got to be the biggest fool I think I've ever seen to do something stupid like that. But anyway, I'm sorry. I got to say it because she was wrong. That's an idiot. I'm sorry. So let's take a look at what goes on in some of these schools where they're allowed to just make mockery of people. Okay, let's take a look at that one.
I don't know. Tomahawks? I don't know. Is that right? What that is? Okay. So, go to what? So, go to what? Soka toa, soka toa, soka toa, soka toa. Soka toa, soka toa, soka toa, soka toa, soka toa, soka toa. Soak my toe. No, soka toa. Soka toa, soka. Soka toa, soka toa. Oh, soka toa. And eventually, I get to go home, and I get all of my feathers.
Now, the child that's Indian that was in that class said that they felt so just disgusted to see this teacher. They felt humiliated. But this is what our tax dollars are paying for this lady to be the idiot that she is and get up there and make fun of these kids. What gives her the right to think that she should be doing something like that? I mean, I just can't even imagine if my kid came home and said, you know, this lady was making fun of us and showing, you know, she not even thinking herself, what if our kids started making fun of the crazy things that they've done to our people, like give them give them smallpox in the blanket on the so-called Thanksgiving Day. How about that, right? Or any of the crazy things that they did to our people, buck breaking and all kind of stuff like that. You know they wouldn't like that because it would show them in a lesser light of, you know, how some that are supremacists really feel that they're above everybody. So this lady obviously has a supremacist attitude. I don't understand. You know, I don't understand. I understand that she was placed on administrative leave, but probably because the parents stepped up and said something, you know, about it. But if they hadn't pressed for it, her boss and those who are over that school would have saw nothing wrong with it. They would have thought really it was funny, just like apparently these kids thought it was funny, who are probably, you know, majority of them are probably white, and they think it's funny to make fun of, you know, people of other cultures. You know, it's one thing to disagree with people's cultures, but to actually get up there and try to make these kids feel bad, it's terrible. It really is. So if I were the parents, I would want her removed from that school, you know, or, you know, something, or either I would be snatching my kids up out of there and getting out of there. I don't care what they put her on administrative leave. She obviously on some kind of drugs or something wrong with her. So I would not want a crazy person like that on my kids. No. So stop subjecting your kids to this foolishness and sending them to school every day saying, well, if we don't stand up, they'll just keep doing the same thing. Yeah, and also if you keep sending your kid there, your kid may wind up missing or something crazy, because for somebody to prance around like that, what else might she do? All right. So anyway, now we're going to move on to our missing youth. All right. The first person we have is Tony. Who do I have? Tony Boyce. Yeah, Tony Boyce. Okay, she's been missing since November 6th. I think I've had her on here before. She's still missing, apparently, from Pleasantville, New York. She's 16 years old. She's a Black female. Her hair color is black. Her eye color is brown. She's 5'6" and about 130 pounds. If you've seen her, you know anything. I don't care how old you are. If you know what's going on, contact missingkids.org and contact your local police so that she can be found and brought back home to her family. All right. We have too many missing kids, y'all. We got to get these kids found and back to their parents. The next person that we have is Miles Maxwell. Okay, Miles has been missing since September 21st of 2021 from Brooklyn, New York. He is 20 years old. Okay, he's a Black male. He has hair color is black. His eye color is brown. He's about 6'1", and he's about 170 pounds. The same thing. If you've seen him, if you know anything about his missing, it reported to missingkids.org and also to the local police. Okay, we know that there's a lot of kidnapping going on, organ harvesting, all of that kind of stuff. So no matter what you know, even if it's something that's bad, these families need closure to what has happened to their child. Think about it. If it was you, you would want to know. No matter what, you would want to know so that you could rest in what has happened and deal and move on. All right. So the next thing we're going to touch on is our health and wellness tips. All right. The weather's been kind of crazy and whatnot because of different things. I know they say global warming and all this, but if you misuse the environment and all of that, that's what happens. It jacks up the weather pattern. So don't blame it. Can't even blame anybody except for, the chemicals and crap that they allow in the ocean and all of this mess that goes on. It affects the weather. So now we're in the season where it's basically going to be cold. Sometimes it goes back to 65 and all of this kind of stuff. But when it's really cold like that, what you want is circulation, your blood circulation to keep going. So I'm suggesting warm and hot baths and showers. In the morning, you want to get your circulation going. And sometime when you come home at night, it's freezing out there. You're waiting on the bus and all of that. Get a hot bath. Let that circulation, sit in the tub for maybe about 15, 20 minutes and let your circulation just, come back. Because sometimes it's very cold out there, right? You need a circulation boost. Okay. The next thing we're going to cover is the business tips. Sometimes the business that you're in is not working out. That's how it is, right? You might maybe want to keep that as a hobby and find another business that will bring an income. So you might have to change over to a new business. There's nothing wrong with that. It's always easy to start an LLC. You go open up several LLCs really if you want, so go ahead and do that. If you need to change over to a new business, go ahead and do that. There's no shame in that. All right. Okay. So now we are going to say our credo, which is Shama Yasharala, Ahayah, Alahayah Nawa, Ahayah Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord, He is our God. The Lord our God, He is one. We're going to be continuing our teaching on Jacob and Israel. Jacob, who is Israel? The 12 tribes. The 12 tribes of Israel come from Jacob. Remember, Jacob's name was changed at the point of what I told you earlier, where he was going to meet his brother. And, the Lord met him in a vision and changed his name to Israel because as a prince, he fought as he was struggling with this vision or dream where the Lord was speaking with him and changing him over to a great nation of people. Nations of people would come out of Jacob. All right. So I'm going to be coming from the Lost Apocrypha of the Old Testament, which is the section called the Ladder of Jacob. It's the Lost Apocrypha of the Old Testament. The apocryphal books, like I told you all, those when King James, who was a Black Scottish king, all right, he was a Scottish nobleman and he was a king of several areas in Europe. That was a time where a lot of the Israelites ruled Europe. People don't know about it. They call it the Dark Ages. Wonder why they call it that, right? So that was a time where the white nations of people were in the Caucasus Mountains, and our people taught them about hygiene. We taught them how to clean themselves and all of that. Because when you really get into the history of where these white nations of people came from, there's a group of them that are called Khazars, which are basically the white Jews that you see today. They're Germans, Russians. They call themselves German and Russian Jews, but they're converted Jews. All right. They came from the Caucasus Mountains. All right. Where it was very cold. They wore these well-lined coats and things like that, but they weren't good on their hygiene at all. So when we came into power over there, we taught them hygiene, that type of thing. All right. So that was the dark ages that they call it, right? During that time, our forefather, King James, who was from the tribe of Judah, he's from the line of King David. All right. He put together the Bible with scholars. He had scholars come together and they put the Bible together because he saw what was happening to our people, because we had already been dispersed to the four corners of the earth. And he knew that we would forget who we were because nobody would be telling us. Because over here in America, remember, they call themselves putting us down by calling us the N-word, which just means black, because the first church was in Antioch. It was taught by what they call them Niger, which the reason why they have the slang today of Niger is because the Southern white people couldn't pronounce it properly. Okay, but it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means black. All right. And it tells you that in the book of Acts. So a lot of these Jesuit teachings and things like that were brought about to confuse us so that we would think we were the Gentiles. We're not the Gentiles. Okay, they're the Gentiles. That's why they started painting their images on, started painting on top of our images and telling us that Christ was was a white man, because they know that their people would never accept a black Messiah. So they used Caesar Borgia, who was from like an Italian, very reckless type of family. That face that you see all the time with Christ in the churches, that's a very wretched thing that they did, because Christ was not a European white man. He came from the tribe of Judah. He was very much so a black man, okay? And when he returns, they're going to be surprised to see a black Messiah, which shouldn't make a difference, but they made it a difference, because when they brought us over here for slaves, they wanted us to believe that we were a lost group of people. We had no history. We were, some of them even today say that they try to lie and say that scientifically we come from apes and monkeys, which if we do, they're monkeys and apes too, because they came from us. Because at the cradle of civilization, the deeper you dig, the blacker it gets. God created man from the dirt of the earth. Dirt is black, all right, not white. So as time went on and people moved to other areas of the earth, not only that, you had the different diseases and stuff like that. Then the white nations of people came later. So they were not even in history when we first started out. But because they came into power, because our people had started following the surrounding nations. I don't know why. I don't know what those people were doing so great that our ancestors decided to do that. Just like Adam and Eve, when they were tricked by Lucifer, to eat from the tree of good and evil. That wasn't a tree that God planted. That was a tree that the fallen angel Lucifer had planted. So the same thing, our people kind of were tricked throughout history. So, this was how we winded up in America, because we don't belong here and we're not going to always be here. As you can see, what's unraveling here in this country now, you can see the fall of Esau's kingdom, and it's going to happen little by little. It's not going to happen just boom overnight. It's over. No, it's going to happen in phases. Esau is the end of this world, that kingdom that they have. If you notice, everywhere they go, that European mindset destroys everything. They use up all of you see, they mess up the environment. They did the same thing over there in Europe. That's why they had to come over here. And they're trying to do the same thing over in Africa. They keep trying to go over there, take their gold, take everything. If you notice now, they have some of the, the other groups of Europeans that are going over there and trying to, take their gold and stuff. But the way they're doing it, they're polluting the waters and things like that. And that same group of people, just another group of their people are over here. The same thing. They just keep messing up wherever they go because they are not God sent. What their plans and stuff like that are their plans that make no sense. They keep doing it over and over and over again, right? Expecting different results, which is what? Insanity, right? So now we're going to go back to the lost apocrypha of the Old Testament, the ladder of Jacob, which is based on Genesis chapters 28 through 30. In the beginning, the apocryphal books were in the Bible. There were about 14 or so of them, but Rome decided to hide those books. They didn't want it because those books give you a detail of what they're doing today so that you can see who they are. So those books tell on them. So they wanted to hide it so we wouldn't know, but it's exposed. The Israelites, we've come back to who we are. We understand who we are. So now we're getting back to the laws, statutes, and commandments. And we know who the 12 tribes are. All right. So they can't fool us no more, really, because now we're sharing it with our people. Now, so when we go to the apocryphal book, the lost, the Old Testament, the ladder of Jacob, section 8, it talks about the coming of Christ, how Christ was going to come. They're not going to know who he is. And, they're going to be surprised that this, because remember when Christ came, when he was born in the manger and all of that kind of stuff, they didn't know that he would be that he was the Son of God. All right, because he was going to be the one. He said, I came before the lost house of Israel. Israelites consist of the 12 tribes. Judah, the Negroes here in America. Tribe of Reuben, the Australians, the Black Australians, a lot of them are Hebrew Israelites. The tribe of Gad consists of who? The North American Indians, what the lady there on the video was making fun of. She's making fun of God's people. All right. Asher, the Colombian, Brazilian people. Naphtali, the Isles of Hawaii, the South Pacific, Fiji Islands, the Filipinos, the Vietnamese, some of the, I believe the Koreans too. Those people are from the tribe of Naphtali. Manasseh is the Cubans, the Black Cubans. Simeon is the Dominican Republic. Levi are the Haitians. They were the ones that were the priests. Simeon and Levi live on the same island and can't get along. And that's a whole nother story of why a lot of times there's fightings between them, because in the Bible, they were rough. They had killed a whole nation of people because their sister was disrespected. So the Lord had to separate them, because when they get mad, anywhere they go, they'll destroy. They will destroy a whole nation of people. So the Lord was like, okay, when it was time to give out the blessings, when Jacob was talking about what each of his children would be, those tribes that would come forth of his children, those two people, Simeon and Levi, the Lord would have to divide them, because when they get mad, it's over, right? Issachar, the Mexican people are the tribe of Issachar. Zebulun, Panama and Costa Ricans. Okay, Ephraim, Puerto Rico. All right, tribe of Benjamin, the West Indians. All right, so those are the 12 tribes. That's why we're persecuted so much, y'all. If you wonder why your group that I named in there and you're in that group, that's why you're being persecuted. That's why they stop you all the time to be arrested or fill their quota or whatever kind of crazy stuff they do, is because they know who we are. But now that they know that we know who we are, it's a threat to them. Okay. So now this particular part of the apocryphal book lets us know that Christ would come, all right? And that it says, and they announced to the wise men and let them know what will befall on earth, and by the star will they know the way to him when they see him upon earth, whom the angels see not above. So the angels no longer saw Christ above, because remember, Christ started off, he was an angel, and he was in what they call the Godhead, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? So God is the great I am that I am. His Son is Christ, right? And the Holy Spirit. Those make up the first family in heaven. Those three are one. But when God sent Christ to the earth to die for our sins, Christ came to bring us back in right relationship with the Godhead, with the Most High God. And how he had to do that is through blood, because without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins, right? Because Cain killed Abel, right? He shed blood, and in the blood is the life of a person, right? So Christ had to come and rectify a lot of our wrongs, right? So this is the prophecy that was given in the apocryphal book. They didn't want us to see this, that this is what, it was more to it than just he was born in a manger and all of that kind of stuff. There's some depth behind it, right? So the angels would no longer see Christ above at that time, because Christ would be here on the earth. He came before the lost house of Israel, because when he pulls us together, okay, that's how the other nations, the Gentile nations, are going to come and worship the Lord too. Once the Lord does away with this foolishness that's going on, he's going to bring the nations together through us, because when Christ comes again, he's going to rule and reign as priest and king here on earth. So in your prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So their kingdom is coming down, but the kingdom of the Lord is advancing in the earth. So the earth is shaking up. That's why you see all this crazy stuff going on, this, that, the other. It's going to be crazy, and it's going to get crazier, because this stuff has to shift on out of here. All right. So they announced to the wise men, let they know what will befall on the earth, and by the star they'll know the way to him. Remember, the wise men saw the star to go and see the Christ as a child in the manger, right? So then will the Almighty be found in a body on the earth, Christ, right? It came in the flesh of a person on the earth, right? And encompassed by the arms of a mortal, his mother. And he reneweth the state of man and quickeneth, that died through the fruit of the tree. Remember the day that the Lord warned Adam, if you eat that fruit, you will die. That's why we die. We're not supposed to die. We're supposed to be living forever. So that will be the purpose of the millennial kingdom, so that we can now live forever as we were supposed to in the beginning. But Christ has to return to the earth in order for that to happen again, right? So then will the deceit of the godless one be overcome. So these ungodly people that are coming up with all this crazy stuff, right? They're going to be overcome with their own nonsense. If you notice, they're killing each other now too. As much as they tried to put racism and all that, because it was never really about racism, but they made it about that. That's why when they came over here to this country, they set us apart. Oh, black people over here, white people over there. But it was never like, it wasn't supposed to even be like that. But so that they could do their agenda, their will on earth, all right? That's why they separated us like that. But we're not we're not white people's problem. We didn't even we don't even want to be here, but we had to come here because of the faults and sins of our ancestors. But no matter where we go, we've always tried to bring people to the knowledge of the Lord. But now that we really know who we are and how it's going to be set up in the kingdom, it's going to be set up the 12 tribes of Israel. We're going to be there in Jerusalem with Christ. Christ is going to be the governor, and we are going to have a God-filled government. It won't be none of this Democrats, this, all Democrats, Republicans, all that stuff. All of that is the same devil on both sides. I'm sorry. I ain't sorry. That's all it is. All right. It's a bunch of nonsense. All right. So Christ will rule in justice. There won't be no injustice and all of that kind of crap going on. Then they'll be shown how it should have been done. And we ain't gonna be trying to beat them and break them and all of that foolishness that they was doing. We're not even going to be doing that kind of thing. We're going to show them how it should have been from the beginning. All right. So now he reneweth the state of man and quickeneth that died through the fruit of the tree. Then will the deceit of the godless one be overcome, and all idols fall on their faces, right? For they will be put to shame by one who is adorned with honor, because they made lying inventions. All right. So all of this crap that you hear them telling and all of this stuff, these are lies. They spread so many lies throughout the earth about us. Every time you turn around, they're always putting everything on us. They always first go over to Africa and say, we have all these diseases and all of that, but they don't tell you how they send a lot of times. And I'm not saying all missionaries are like this, but they send a lot of missionaries over to pretend like they're helping our people, but they're really giving them Ebola and all of this kind of stuff, and trying to make like this is in our DNA and all of this, because they can't tell the truth. They want to rule everywhere in the earth. They don't have the God wherewithal how to be just and righteous. And that's not all. I'm not saying that's all Gentiles or all white people. I'm not saying that. But the supremacists that you see, that's a damnable doctrine. And they trying to put it on everybody. And they always start blaming us for everything because they know who we are. They know that Esau is the end of this world as we know it. And Jacob, who is the 12 tribes, is the beginning of the next. We will be with Christ when he rules. All right. So thenceforth will they not have power to rule or to give prophecies. You notice they always be trying to give some deep prophecy and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, they still hate us. In their churches, all they do is take our people's money. And, they come up with all of this nonsense. And it always ends up a lie. When you really search into these crazy things, it's a lie. Every time you turn around, it's something else. People shouldn't be having kids. People shouldn't have, they should only have 1 or 2 children. Where's that in the Bible? No, the Bible said to be fruitful and multiply. But, yet they want to sterilize certain people. Get out of here with that mess, right? All right. Thenceforth will they not have power to rule or to give prophecies. So the Lord is going to silence those people very soon. For their honor will be taken from them, and they will remain without glory. For the child that is come taketh the power and might from them, and recompenseth to Abraham the truth. So when Christ came, he said, I came for the lost house of Israel. So the Bible tells us eventually all our people are going to be awakened, and we're going to come back to our power. We're going to come to our senses as to, wait a minute, these people have ruled over us, but that wasn't what God really wanted, right? So we have to come back to who we really are. Christ set us up as the priests and kings of the earth. We're supposed to be bringing the people to righteousness, not to racism and all of this foolery. Don't follow that mess, right? So for the child that is come taketh the power and might of them, and recompense it to Abraham the truth which he promised to him. Then he roundeth off all that is sharp, and every rough thing maketh he smooth, and he casteth all unrighteousness into the depths of the sea. And he doeth the wonders in heaven and on the earth. A lot of wonders are going to be happening in the heavens. You're going to see things. You know how they be talking about those UFOs? Those UFOs are going to be the chariots of the Lord. Because when Christ starts to advance on the earth and whatnot, they're going to fight against Christ because they know who they are. They know they're like the Tower of Babel with Nimrod in them when they fought against God. And that's why the fallen angels, the different angels that came to the earth, the Lord had them split the tongues. That's why we have all these different languages, so that people couldn't understand each other, because they were trying to build a tower to heaven. Does that sound kind of familiar? Maybe that's why so many people trying to get to outside the earth, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, right? So they're going to be fighting against the Lord God Almighty, all right? And those chariots and things that, these they call UFOs and stuff like that, those chariots are going to be the chariots of the Lord. And when Christ comes with those chariots and stuff, he's going to wipe them out, all right? So he casteth all unrighteousness into the depths of the sea, and he doeth wonders in heaven and on earth. And he will be wounded in the midst of the house of the beloved. So he was wounded in the midst of his friends when he came here. He was forsaken by the people that he taught. He was forsaken by Judas Iscariot. And then when when the soldiers came, the Roman soldiers came to get Christ to crucify him, the disciples fled. They cut out because Peter wanted to fight with weaponry, right? At that time, there's a time to fight, but there's a time to not fight. So they didn't understand it at that time. So they fled, right? For a little while. And then they caught their senses when Christ arose, right? But when he is wounded, then also the saving and the end of all corruption draweth near. For they that have wounded him shall themselves receive a wound, which shall not be healed for them forever. But the wounded one shall all creatures worship, and upon him shall many hope. And everywhere and among all the Gentiles shall be known. But they that have known his name shall not be put to shame. And his own might and his years shall not fail forever, right? So when the apostles caught themselves, because they weren't apostles really. I mean, well, they were, Christ's disciples at the time, and they were eventually made apostles. But they really didn't understand who Christ was, because remember, at the time, the church had fallen into apostasy. You had the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the proselytes. Those people were hypocrites. They had fallen into following the Gentile ways, the Romans, the other nations of people around them, the naked sports, the people doing all kind of orgies and crazy things that some of our people were falling into. And so when Christ came, he said, I came, but not for the lost house of Israel. Once Israel is in place, that's it. Christ is setting up his kingdom on the earth. The Bible talks about how we're going to see him coming in the clouds with great power and glory. But he's not coming to, it's not going to be la, la, la. He's coming to kick behind. He's going to beat the people out, okay? And we're going to be with him. We'll be on his side, okay? But they're going to fight him. They're going to fight against him, but he's going to wipe them out, all right? That's when you're going to see them chariots of fire and all that stuff that they trying to say is the UFO area, this area, that, all of this kind of stuff that they talking about. That's the area where the Nephilim spirits are, is that area of 51, 52 or whatever. That's where the fallen angel spirit, the Nephilim that cohabitated with the women, the fallen angels that should not have been with the women, because God didn't create us women for angels. He created us for the men so that we could have families, get married, have families, procreate, right? But they, the fallen angels decide to follow Lucifer with his foolishness, right? So, all right. So now, this is what, was intended in that for Jacob's ladder. That was the fulfillment. If you have missed the other weeks that I've taught on this, this was the fulfillment of what that vision meant, was that the Lord was going to bless Jacob and his seed. They were going to rule as kings and queens and things like that, but they were going to have a fight. They were going to have a battle. If you go back and look at the other weeks that I taught on what was going to happen, what the fulfillment of that vision meant, that through Jacob's line, they were going to go into slavery. We went into Egyptian slavery. We went into Persian slavery. We went into Greco, all of these different slaveries. And this one here in America is the 12th slavery we've been in, and this is the last one, because after this, Christ will return to the earth. It may be in our day and time, but it may be in the next generation's day and time, but know of a surety we're very close to it now. When you see what's going on here, these different programs and campaigns that they're trying to push on us, if you notice, every time they try to push something on us, they always bring our people to the light. They always say, even though they claim we're a small percentage of the population, then why are they so worried about us? Why are they always paying attention, saying, oh, but they don't do this, they don't do that? You shouldn't be worried that we don't do certain things, as if we only a small portion of, the population, which lets you know that that's a lie. There's no way we could still be 10% or 12% of the population, because if we were, you wouldn't even worry about us. There's a bigger agenda behind all of that stuff when you hear them, because remember, they're always, oh, the fire's over here. This is the fire. This week, the fire is this. Next week, the fire is that. But the fire is really that you're advancing, trying to come against God's people. And what's going to happen through that is a lot of our people are going to be lost, because even though they wake up and see the truth, because they've been believing these lies that were told to us since we got here in this country, they can't see the truth. And some people don't want to change and go back to the laws, statutes, and commandments, which are very basic. Love the Lord your God above all else. Don't make a God out of nobody or nothing. God is God, right? Treat your neighbor right? Don't steal. Don't falsely accuse people. All of those 10 commandments are just basic, really common sense things. You know what I'm saying? Don't covet. Don't be jealous of people and stuff. Don't do anything. Don't steal your neighbor's, stuff. Or just basic stuff, y'all. We make the Bible harder than what it really is. It really ain't that hard, y'all. Come on now. It's not 10 commandments. Seriously? We can't follow that? Even if you never step foot in the church, Lord have mercy, you keep the 10 commandments, and you can get a relationship with the Lord. Pray. Say the Our Father prayer. I think I touched on that last week, because the Our Father prayer covers worship, prayer, and praise. It covers all of it. Do that like 3 times a day, and read the word. And there's plenty of teachings, especially some of the Hebrew Israelite teachings that teach you the truth, that you can listen to and grow from. You could grow from these different teachings and things like that, where you get a better relationship with the Lord, and teach it to your children. Because these days, if you notice, I'm sorry, but they try to act like all these other countries have these problems, but we're in a country that's the most prejudiced in the world. And it's like, it's the same way it was in the beginning when we first got here. And they wanted us to remain slaves. So they moved us from one plantation to another. If it's not this, it's that, and so it's the same thing. It's just like it was in Dr. Martin Luther King's day. Okay. The same mess. They haven't changed. If anything, they've gotten worse. If you see what they got away with on January 6th, only a few of them even got slapped on the wrist with certain things. That should tell you this is a nation that is not going to last very much longer. It's not. You even hear about certain states saying that they're going to pull out of the union. All right. So what is this going to be called within the next 5 to 10 years? It may not even be called what it's called today. All right. So you got to make sure you're in touch with the Lord. Christ said, when you see these different things coming, you may have to move from one place to another. You may have to move to another state, another city, another country. So be ready. Be ready. Also have your food and stuff. I keep telling y'all, stock up, stock up, stock up. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to have to find somewhere else to go. All right. So, be ready, y'all. Be ready. And teach your kids. Grab your kids. Get your kids. You notice that they're trying to make the kids more responsible as far as telling them that they don't have to get permission from their parents and they 10 and 11 years old. What? I wish I had, if I had an 11-year-old telling me that they decided to do something without my permission, it's going to be, what? No, that would not be happening. Okay. Y'all start being responsible for your children. All right. Teach them the word of the Lord. It's very simple. The laws, statutes, and commandments, the New Testaments about the gospel of Christ. It's not hard. Stop making things more than what they are. It's just not that hard. It's not. It's about living right, living a pure, clean life like the Lord wanted us to from the beginning. Imagine in the beginning, Adam had access to heaven, right? So eventually we're going to get back to that, the portals and all that. All right. So that's basically the teaching of Jacob's ladder. The next time that you see me, I'll be going through how now that we call Israel through Jacob, continuing on with our patriarchal lineup. All right. So thank you for watching the Crystal Jones Show, the show that's all about life balance. You can watch me every Saturday, like I said, from 7 to 8 p.m. On BronxNet.tv, channel 951, 2137, on the Inspire channel and on your cable channel. Also on YouTube, Facebook. Subscribe to my YouTube page. Share my videos. All right. Also, you could find me on Instagram at The Crystal Jones Show, my inspirational things that I put up daily. Write to me at thecrystaljoneshow@gmail.com. And also connect with me on HebrewConnect.tv. All right. So I wish you many blessings. Barak Ahthah. May God richly keep you and bless you. And you know that I always tell you all, you always stay balanced.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
To get to know each other
on a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
And discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Stop using church intimidation, control and manipulation. Jezebel and all them spirits fall back, not trying to hear it. Go with Jesus, walk in peace. On your pew can sit that beast that we're fighting in the world. I'm that JC Supergirl, Jesus Christ, belt of truth, arm of God, I'm slaying you. Power of the word, two-edged sword. MC Heaven rocks for her Lord. Thought they crept in unaware, didn't see the gatekeeper standing right there. Not getting down with your tactics, undoctrinal practice. Rewind.